Welcome inside room 442. It's Albert Vartan here. The crew with me as well, Mikey, Sarah, and James Sharman. Today, we're going to break down a massive matchup between Croatia and Argentina. We'll preview that later with a deep dive in whether or not Croatia and Modric, can they actually pull this off, or is it Messi's World Cup to win? But before we get into that, let's talk about some moments. I mean, the quarterfinals, based on what I've seen over the years, maybe the best set of games I've seen at a World Cup in a long time. And one guy in particular, your guy, left a lasting impression on you from that game against the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think it was the last penalty that was taken, Lautaro Martinez. We were all watching that together and shaking, obviously. But it was when the entire Argentina squad went to go and jump on Lautaro. Messi went straight to Emi Martinez, and they had like a moment on the ground together. And to me, this was just really like lovely because I think it shows their connection, but also how much Messi really appreciate. This guy is a great goalie, and he really helped save Argentina there. And those penalties, those first two weren't going in because of Martinez, and of course Lautaro scored it. But like Messi knew that's the guy I have to go and hug first and say thank you.
This is definitely like the lovely side of Messi, James. But in this World Cup, I think we're seeing a different side of him. A little bit more edge to him.
Is it in the Maradona?
Yes.
Maybe to a certain point, or is that dangerous? Do you want to?
I think there's a line,
He's always
right?
compared, right, to Maradona, always, and maybe he needs to remove himself from that. But he's got a big chip on his shoulder. Usually, Messi's football does the talking, right, and he's got edge to him to a certain degree, right. But this World Cup, he's enjoying himself, but he's going at Louis van Gaal. He's retiring. I mean, give the guy a break. Come on, you know. Bejic in Australia, he fouls him, he gets angry, and that's when he hit the switch and turned it on, right. There's something about Messi that, man, he's going to win the World Cup, right? He's going to win.
I mean, I'm with you on that.
No, I think he is. He's going to will his team
Yes.
to this World Cup at this point. It's great to see because there's something more to Messi right now than just what's happening at his feet, which is incredible. He's got this drive and this anger and frustration going back many years that he's going to will his team to victory, I think.
Maybe this is that extra little bit of edge he needed. And Ronaldo fans won't want to hear that, right? They don't want to hear Messi is destined to win the World Cup. And that's who I want to talk about. Coming out of that Morocco match, at the end of the game, you saw Ronaldo wiping the tears from his face, walking off the pitch. And for a lot of people, they were happy to see that, right? Because of based on what's been going on with him off the pitch. But if you just look at what he's done on the pitch throughout his entire career, this is a footballing giant. Him and Messi have dominated world football for over a decade, right? So this is a player we're never going to see again. And I think the realization, never going to see again at the World Cup, it was the realization kicking in that this was his last chance at a World Cup. And now he's not able to get that. I think if this was Messi, if this was Zidane, if this was Maradona, this would be really talked about. A legend is leaving the sport. But it's not because of what's going on. And we're all critical of him. I've been as well. But I think he really has left his mark on this game. And he should be appreciated, Mike.
Well, you joke and say we may never see him again. We actually may never see him again unless you guys have Saudi Arabian access to football. No, and it's over this World Cup, what I've seen is there's such a stark contrast now between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. There used to be such an even divide in terms of, oh, you either love Ronaldo or you love Messi. You know, some people appreciated both, but there was a legitimate argument to why you love Ronaldo or why you love Messi. Now I'm seeing it sway completely to the one side where it's like Messi's legacy continues to increase. I don't know if we can call it a renaissance per se, but we can definitely say that, you know, his stock overall is leaving a great impact towards the end of his career, while Cristiano Ronaldo's value is diminishing towards fans, or at least from a fan's perspective. So yeah, it's kind of depressing in a way because this may cloud over what has been such an unbelievable career and may take away from that slightly. But he's made his own bed in sort of that regard.
But that's why I hope that he does retire soon, because I really believe that with a bit of time, it will heal. And we'll remember Ronaldo for what he was. And that was, like I said, the genius of Ronaldo and that career he had. Because you're right, right now he's kind of seeping off into the background with not much, I don't know, respect around the world. The interview wasn't good, his performances weren't good. You know, so I saw those tears in that tunnel and I actually had a little bit of sympathy for him. Thinking, man, like, you know what? He's going to be remembered right now in the short term for all the nonsense, but this was a brilliant footballer, and I think give it a year or so after he retires, we'll remember that, not this.
I will say I felt the same way though. I saw him going off the pitch and my immediate thought was, oh my God, this is the last time we're going to see Ronaldo at a World Cup. Like, even though he's been infuriating to watch these last couple months, he's been doing the most, like James has mentioned. But that was my first initial reaction, because I think at the end of the day, the player who he was will be remembered instead of all. You know what? At least I hope so, because he does deserve the
Well,
respect.
criticizing Ronaldo it's low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
Because he's always in the public eye, and based on the way he's managed certain things with certain teams and managers, and how he's come out and he's talked about certain players, it's easy to lose respect for somebody like that. But when you look at his resume, 5 Champions League, 5 Ballon d'Or, he's won the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, most Champions League goals, most international goals, right? He's up there with the best.
Yeah, but he's done it to himself though as well.
No,
He's
absolutely,
low-hanging
right.
fruit for a reason,
Mhm.
Right.
because of what he does, his behaviour, the comments, the looks, the interviews. I mean, come on. I mean, it's why it's frustrating. Messi at this point, it could change. At this point, really lets his football do the talking.
Mm-hmm.
And apart from that, he's really quite boring, right? Which I think for a footballer is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I don't think so either. And that edge, I think, is adding to this Messi mystique as well, right? Which I absolutely love. Anyway, so Ronaldo going out of the World Cup, we may never see again, but don't put it past the guy, right? He's in fantastic shape. If there's one player that keeps his body in shape and doesn't really get injuries, it's him. But on the other side of that matchup, Morocco, their fans were incredible, but there were some scenes on the pitch between players and some family members that stood out to you.
Yeah, I think just that moment when the final whistle blew for Morocco, just knowing their story and how far this team has managed to get. The first African nation to reach the semifinals, and then after the game, Shakira tweets out, "This time for Africa." Just little moments, little things
I
to
didn't see
that
that.
it makes it so special.
Shakira did that?
Yeah.
And then Shooting Shakiri for a second.
Yeah.
Why would Shooting Shakiri be doing that? You know?
Well, yeah, it's just as you mentioned, the overall embrace from players and their families. And you hear stories about a guy like Hakeem Ziyech, who hasn't taken a penny from his nation in terms of playing international football. He's donated all of that to charity. This was a guy that wasn't even going to be on the squad 6 months ago, right? He had a dispute with the former coach. This was a head coach now that just took over in August of Morocco's team. So they are, for me, the story of this World Cup. And to see them shock the world again,
Mm-hmm.
Portugal is, I think you won't find many people who aren't rooting for Morocco.
No, and it's almost the perfect story. I mean, for them to win the World Cup is such a stretch, but at the same time, you can also say Morocco getting to semifinals is a stretch. Think about who they've beaten, Portugal, Spain, Belgium. They've knocked out some giants.
And we were saying before that, okay, Euro, Denmark won it once upon a time. Greece won it once upon a time, but the World Cup, you never get a real shocker, do you? Has there ever been a real shocker winning the World Cup?
No, I don't think so.
There's only been 8, 9 nations
that-
that have
it's
ever
usually
won the World
the
Cup.
Cinderella
Right?
stories get this far, and then that's
And then
it.
yeah, exactly, right? I mean, when Hungary won back in the 30s,
Oh, yeah.
no idea whether it was a surprise. Don't think it was. Pushkas, pretty good, right? but I mean, in the modern era, for sure. I mean, if it's France or it's Germany or it's Brazil or it's Argentina. I
Even
mean,
Croatia making the finals in 2018 was
Yeah.
a jaw-dropping
massive,
story,
yeah,
right?
if they win it, that's certainly a shocker, I think,
Yeah.
even though perhaps it shouldn't be.
Okay.
Although,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, although regarding Croatia and Morocco, it does kind of seem, though, like the neutral fans, or maybe the ones that are against Messi and whatnot, everyone is choosing Morocco over
Yeah.
Croatia in terms of underdogs. The only people I know cheering for Croatia are Croatian fans. And it's just interesting to see, Morocco has everyone behind them. It's lovely to see, but...
Well, you can throw me on that Croatian train. I've been on many trains. Hopefully this one.
Denmark,
a destination.
The Great Dane train was a
No, the
few
Tunisian
years ago,
train.
That
right?
didn't last very
The
long.
Tunisian train was my favorite train, Albert.
Which one?
The Tunisian
Oh, I
train.
love the
That was
Tunisian.
going there.
You're on the Australian one for a little bit.
Yeah.
Too.
Everyone at that
I boarded every train.
You can
I think,
talk,
at
by
this
the way.
World
You're,
Cup.
you're in the shirts as well. So you
Yeah,
can-
call me up for it. I will cheer always against England. And my dad bought me that jersey in France in 2006.
She always cheers against
It
England.
was my
eh?
first jersey I ever got.
She was cheering against your nation, and now here we go. This
Yeah.
is your time.
Okay.
Harry Kane, second penalty.
Yeah, you
That's
missed
your
it.
moment.
You missed it. You see it over there?
It's still going.
Still
Still
going.
going,
Still
right?
going right now. Yeah, I feel bad for Harry Kane. I'm frustrated about England's loss. I'm not sad. I'm not angry. I'm frustrated because it's just another way they figured out how to lose in a game that perhaps they should have won. They played really well in that match. They did a really good World Cup, I thought, overall. All positive. You can't really point fingers at Gareth Southgate necessarily or a certain player. it's a football match in the end, and people miss penalties. You know, once again, penalties screw England, but it wasn't a penalty shootout this time. It was one that wasn't called, perhaps. And then Harry Kane. So, you know what? I didn't leave that game angry and, you know, resenting France. You know, I wouldn't do that about one particular team. It's just
Whatever
happened in a
resent your
football
team, I
match.
just don't like your fans.
Harry Kane, 58 penalties scored of 69.
It's crazy.
It's hard to put on a guy, but when that pressure hits, I mean, those types of pressures change the way players react in certain situations. And it just so happened to be that Harry Kane missed the second penalty against his teammate, Hugo Lloris.
He Beckham'd it, right?
Oh, he beckoned it. He
Yeah.
Beckham'd
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Beckhammed it.
Oh, they
Yeah.
went right to Beckham after the missed pen, too.
I know.
Immediately.
He knows how he feels, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have to feel for the guy. Harry Kane's had a good World Cup. Hasn't scored many goals, but he's had a good World Cup, and he's a great servant for his country. But you know, can you just imagine the pressure on his shoulders at that point? 6
Right.
minutes left. You're down 2-1. That's enormous pressure. And
Sorry.
I was saying it's weird. Like when he was stepping up to the spot, you didn't really feel like he was gonna miss the penalty.
No, I
though,
didn't.
Right? You
No.
felt really
And-
confident in Harry Kane stepping up
Yep.
and slotting that away, and I was jaw dropped when that happened.
It's just unfortunate because it's like one of those takeaway moments from the quarterfinals, and it's like everyone's always going to remember that, and you're not going to remember like necessarily how well England played, like you were saying. That's the moment, and
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking sometimes. It's a cruel game.
World Cups are moments, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, that's the beauty of World Cups. We know
Yeah.
the moments, not the big picture here. It's like who screwed up, who was the hero, and it's
Well,
cruel-
that's
cruel
what
business.
happens when you leave it to a Tottenham player. All right, that's the end of this segment. Coming up, time to preview the big matchup between Croatia and Argentina. Stay tuned. Welcome back inside room 442. Albert Vartanian, Mikey Sink, Sarah Pereira, James Sharman beside me. Let's preview the first semifinal matchup of this World Cup. Argentina, Croatia. Yes, Croatia somehow have managed to get here, winning penalty shootouts on the way. At the moment, the bookies have Argentina as the favorites to go through, and understandable. But James, how can Croatia keep doing this, and how can they beat Argentina?
Try and find somehow to keep Messi under control, because outside of Messi, Argentina's a good team, but not, you know, chock full of world-class players.
I thought you were gonna say a good team, but not a great team.
No, I've learned from your mistakes in the past there, Mikey. That's how you do it. You try and prevent Messi from running the show there, and they have the midfield to do it, perhaps. I don't know. This Croatian team. I mean, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to mention the word that, you know. Will they be, you know, a little bit? No, I'm not going to say that, because they prove us time and time again not to be that way. They haven't lost a knockout game inside 90 minutes. It's amazing, right?
Mhm.
It's just incredible what they do every single World Cup, it seems, every single tournament. Although they have lost in last 16s in the past, but it seems when we reflect on this team overall, they always win the big games, and they find a way to kill off games. Maybe you keep possession, you pass it around the midfield, keep it away from Messi. Maybe that's what you do. I don't know. No one's figured out Messi so far. Maybe it'll be Croatia.
Sir, have you seen any indication from Argentina that they have a plan B?
No, because have they needed to use it, I guess. It seems like
Right.
Messi keeps working and they're like, well, it's getting us to the semifinals. But I think a crucial factor here is going to be Angel Di Maria starting this match, because he is so important to the side. And you notice when he's not on the pitch, it's just another person that isn't there to create those chances for Argentina or even score. Also, we know Rodrigo de Paul has been suffering from a level 1 tear apparently, but he played a whole 120 minutes. That gives me concern of, you know, his health. But if it's working right now with Messi, I bet you Scaloni is going to keep working with Messi and just using plan A.
For Croatia, Mikey, we talk about Argentina having Messi. Is Livakovic Croatia's Messi?
Well, he has been so far this tournament, right? He's probably been their most important player. If the voting was going to go down today, he would probably win the Golden Glove as this tournament's best goalkeeper. I mean, you think about how important he's been in terms of not only penalty shootouts, which of course he's so good at, but also against Brazil, how huge he was in so many different moments.
11 saves.
To stifle them, exactly. So he's going to be very important for this Croatian team if they are going to continue to move forward. But you look at their back line and you think of guys like Lovren and Gvardiol, who is making a case as maybe the best defender so far in this tournament. And then you can't look past their midfield in terms of Brozovic and Kovacic and Luka Modric. This team is a sum of its parts. There's not one player that stands out to me more than some of the others. I think Argentina is going to be really tough. Will be in tough here against a Croatian team that's going to grind them down.
When we do our best 11s for this World Cup, we will probably next week, right? I mean, I wonder how many Croatian players make it and how many Argentine players make it. Because right now, there's an argument to be made. There's more Croatian players because that back four have been just so good all tournaments, right? The midfield's been really good. They've grown into the tournament as well. And not to criticize Argentina, a great team, but Messi's the one standout so far.
And I think even if you were to say the second probably best Argentina is, Martinez, if you're comparing him right now
with
Livakovic.
I know.
I would throw Julian Alvarez maybe in there as well.
Yeah,
Has he
exactly.
played enough though?
He hasn't played enough, but his goals have been big.
Yeah, no,
Big
he's
moments,
been very good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Then
think
you would
the
have
argument.
Mbappe there.
Yeah, I'm just talking between the two.
Yeah, between these two
teams.
teams,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but no,
I
I
guess we'll
think
put Mbappe in there.
Yeah, I guess
Thanks, Michael.
He's all right.
I think it's fair though that you would have more Croatians right now than
think so.
than Argentina.
Because they have the collective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about Modric, obviously, and he's the one star, true superstar. But they're a collective. That's how they play the game right now. And we were discussing before about Modric and when he finally hangs him up, maybe as a World Cup champion, how much difference will he be looked upon if he is a champion compared to not? It's a really good argument that to say that
won a lot. His resume
he
is
always
big.
needs this though to really be accepted by the grands. I mean, I think those that watch the game closely, we understand how good he is, but he's not a household name by any stretch.
He could be top 3 midfielders of our generation.
Generation? Oh, why not?
He
why
could
not?
be. Well, you have Xavi and Iniesta.
Yeah.
Those guys, I think, are on a pedestal. But who else? Like, Ronaldinho
Is
is
Pirlo our generation?
I wouldn't put him in that as a kind
Pirlo?
of player, though.
Is he
Yes,
our
yeah.
generation?
Yeah, but I think Luka Modric was a better player than Pirlo overall.
Oy.
Well, if he wins the World Cup,
This is like a
argument.
Pirlo
own
aged
show
like
in
a fine
itself.
wine, but
Talking about the best
don't
midfielders, the
know.
best players, you can go through a whole show and you start naming players. Like, oh, I forgot about him.
I
forgot
know.
about that guy.
And he's not finished yet. Steven Gerrard was pretty good.
Yeah, he was all right.
Didn't
too.
win much.
and Luka Modric has the silverware too for himself, right?
The fact that he has a
Ballon
Ballon
d'Or.
d'Or is actually
It's such
incredible.
Yeah, that's a good conversation, isn't it?
It is. Okay, so I just want to talk about
So just
Livakovic
cut it
one more
off.
time. Yeah, I got to cut out. We got to keep moving.
Such a
Livakovic.
good conversation.
I
Okay.
just want to talk about Livakovic and how important he is, right? I mean, 4 saves in 2 penalty shootouts, 11 saves against Brazil. Without him, Croatia aren't here. So this is crazy to say, but you can make the argument that he's more important to Croatia than Messi is to Argentina in this World Cup.
You still got to score goals to win
What?
games.
You're losing that argument.
You
too.
Why?
are you insane?
Why? Why am I making that argument?
Because what we just talked about.
Without those saves, Croatia aren't getting to this point.
That's true.
Without Messi, Argentina probably wouldn't have gone out of the group.
That's what I'm saying. You put these two together, and you can make the argument that one is more important than the other.
Well, okay, goalkeeper.
For those reasons.
Goalkeeper forward. What is the most important position?
Well, if you look at Croatia's team, lack of goal scoring is an issue, so you're going to need the guy at the back end to
Yeah.
keep you in the games.
Yeah.
For Argentina, you have a good goalkeeper. You have goal scorers around Messi. Yes, he is the best player and keeps them all together. But I think without Messi, Argentina would still have the ability to get this deep into the tournament.
So if you're building a team, a World Cup team right now, with all the players in the World Cup, 111, you got your first pick. Right, it's a draft, right? We're all
Messi.
doing it. Messi.
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
your answer,
so
coach.
there's
There's
your
your
I'm talking about
argument
the importance to his team. That's my
I know
angle.
what you're saying,
course.
but yeah.
You can never go against Messi. I know. You lose either way. I'm just trying to make an
a
argument.
draft. You know, Albert gets the first pick. First, I'm going to pick.
Veldweghorst.
That wouldn't surprise me
Yeah.
at all.
Okay.
You never saw a big striker.
We're getting wrapped up quickly. I want to ask Sarah quickly about Argentina as fast as you possibly can. Conceding late seems to be becoming a little bit of a trend with Argentina. They did against Australia the 77th minute. Obviously, the 2 goals against Netherlands. Is that a concern for Scaloni heading to this game?
Yeah, absolutely. It always is. Like you said, it's happened twice. So they need to, if they're going to keep doing what they're doing, they're going to score at some point. Messi will probably find the back of the net. But then you have to keep the press up. You have to try and go for a second goal. You can't relax at all. If we've learned anything in this World Cup, you cannot relax until the ref blows that whistle and tells you the game is over. It's
Right.
happened so many times to come from behind. In Croatia, they've proved they can do it. So absolutely, they have to stay ready.
Yeah, this is a fascinating matchup. And coming up, we're going to be talking about it some more, but we're giving you some bets and some tips to make you some money heading into the first semifinal matchup. All right, it's time for Fast Money Football presented by Betano, Albert Vartanian, James Sharman, Sarah Pryor, Mikey Singh. Let's start with the bets for this matchup. I'll begin. I'm going to go with over 4.5 cards at -120. This is going to be one of those games that's tight and cagey. We know how Modric and Croatia play, and I think it'll be tight. Think about Brozovic in the midfield. I think within the first 20 minutes of that last quarterfinal matchup, he picked up a card, and he's going to be one who's tasked with probably man-marking Messi. I see cards on both sides here, so over 4.5 cards, -120. Mikey, you like Croatia.
Yeah, I love your bet because cards reset in the semifinals as well, so you can take a tactical foul if you need to. I really like that. For me, I like Croatia +1. Croatia's shown throughout. I mean, it's no surprise now. They're going to find ways to keep this game tight. It's not going to be a blowout by any means. And they've also shown that, like, they don't concede very many goals. They've only conceded twice. On the other hand, they've only scored twice, where Argentina, have they scored many goals throughout this tournament? They haven't shown that they can do it in bunches. And if it's not Lionel Messi, then who is it with this Argentinian team? So Croatia +1 at around even money, I think, is a good bet.
Well, speaking of Lionel Messi, Sarah
Thank you
Pryor.
for setting me up there, Mikey. Honestly, I looked and seeing Messi to score anytime at +132. How can you not love that? He's the man carrying this team. And at this point, I think you have to go for safe bets because this World Cup has proven you never know what's going to happen.
Okay, and what I think is the best bet on this show today goes to James Sharman.
Yeah, I've gone for a great prop. I'm so confident about this bet, right? I'm so confident. Over 6.5 minutes of added time in the second half at -105. Guaranteed money in the bank. We know what's happened in this World Cup so far. There's going to be so much housery at the end of this match. Players, teams, wasting time, kicking balls at benches, all the cards. There's lots of subs, of course, so I can guarantee it's going to go really long and a lot of drama.
Yeah, and if one of the teams has the lead heading into late into injury time, you know it's going to go
Flopping.
deep. Oh,
Just
rolling
flopping.
around, substitutions, yelling at the
Awful.
referee, everything that we've seen so far in this tournament. So expect 10+ minutes of injury time in this semifinal. All right, that's it for us here on Fast Money Football presented by Betano. We'll be back tomorrow inside room 442.